When the storm passed, the desert looked like it had never moved, but two hikers from Flagstaff saw something glinting in the wash, a sliver of metal under a layer of clay. They dug with their hands until the curve of a fender appeared, sun-bleached white, numbers faintly visible beneath dust. It took a full day to uncover what the storm had revealed: the roof of an SUV, doors crushed inward, half buried by 20 years of sand. Inside, still wedged between the seats, was a camcorder sealed in a plastic grocery bag. Authorities would later call it one of the most haunting cold case recoveries in Arizona history. The missing Holloway family, Richard, 41, his wife Dana, 38, and their son Eli, 9, had vanished in 2003 while driving to a weekend campsite outside Page. For 2 decades, no tire tracks, no belongings, not a trace, until now. On August 2, 2003, Richard signed out early from the electrical co-op where he worked in Winslow. Security camera, 4:22 p.m., him smiling, baseball cap backward. The family planned to reach a small BLM campground near the Vermilion Cliffs by sunset. They never checked in. At 8 p.m., Dana's sister tried calling, no signal. By morning, the phone went straight to voicemail. When rangers traced the Holloway's possible route, they found dust storms had closed 2 unpaved roads overnight. Tire marks were obliterated. The official search lasted 12 days. Helicopters, dogs, ATVs, nothing. By week 2, officials speculated they'd driven off a ravine or been caught in flash flood runoff. But without debris or oil residue, the case froze. 20 years later, on April 17, 2023, hikers Marissa Kane and Leo Nguyen followed an unmarked arroyo near Marble Canyon. Mapping erosion for a geology forum, Marissa spotted ... the fender first, thinking it was old mining junk. When they realized it was a vehicle, they stopped filming and called authorities. By dawn, Coconino County deputies arrived with an excavation team. The buried truck emerged inch by inch, an early 2000s Ford Expedition, sand-sealed like pottery. The plates were still readable, AZ4YH193. Inside, preservation bordered on impossible. Leather seats intact, dashboard covered in fine silt but uncracked. The family's cooler sat upright, lid fused shut, and there, jammed between the console and the passenger seat, the camcorder. The camera was a Sony Handycam DCR TRV 350, standard mini DV cassette. The casing had warped, but the tape survived. Forensic media specialists baked and digitized it frame by frame. The footage ran 36 minutes. The first half was ordinary. Road signs. Dana filming Eli playing with a toy car on the dashboard. Laughter over static-filled country radio. Timestamp, August 2, 2003, 17:21 hours. At 18:05, wind begins to rattle the mic. Dust clouds sweep across the windshield. Dana's voice. Should we pull over? Richard, it'll pass. 5 miles and we're through. At 18:22, the footage jolts violently. The camera tumbles. The lens points at the roof as the car jerks sideways. Then silence, except for sand striking metal. A few seconds later, Dana picks up the camera. The glass outside is red with sunset. She whispers, "We're stuck." The next 12 minutes show frantic attempts to dig the tires free, Eli crying softly. Richard tries the ignition twice. Nothing. Then the light fades completely. At 19:47, the final shot. Dana holding the camera toward herself, her face lit by flashlight, whispering, "If anyone finds this, we're by a wall of rock." The wind stopped. It's like the sand's breathing. Tape ends. Forensics determined the SUV had rolled down a shallow embankment into a dry wash that later filled during flash floods, burying it under 8 feet of compacted silt. The roof crush pattern matched wind-driven sediment, not collision. Inside, all 3 seatbelts unbuckled, no remains. The doors were locked from the inside, windows intact. Only Dana's scarf and a child's shoe remained. Investigators scoured downstream for bone fragments or fabric. Nothing. Dr. Liam Rhodes, lead forensic geologist, described it simply. It's as if the desert filled in the blanks and never gave them back. Flash flood entrapment, vehicle buried during night storm, family tried to climb out, overtaken by debris flow. Sinkhole burial, subsurface collapse pulled vehicle under slowly before sealing. Voluntary shelter, they used the SUV as protection, later disoriented and walked the wrong direction. None explain why the doors were locked or why the camcorder was hidden under a seat. Locals whispered older theories about the singing dunes, a section of desert known for low-frequency hums when wind crosses certain ridges. Caleb Dunn had written about a similar sound in Alaska. Now, reporters recycled the phrase, "The desert breathes." From the camera's memory card, investigators recovered one undeveloped still frame, an accidental photo from the tumble. It showed Eli's hand against the window, light refracting in tiny crescents of dust. Behind him, faint through the storm, what looked like a vertical wall, smooth, tan, impossible to place. Satellite images later revealed no cliff within 5 miles of their route. For the first time since 2003, drones combed the sector. In June 2023, thermal scans detected a hollow area 400 yards from the SUV site. They drilled and found a void roughly the size of a single-car garage. At the bottom, scraps of synthetic fabric and a corroded flashlight. DNA from the fabric matched Dana Holloway. No further remains recovered. By August, the case reclassified from unresolved to partial recovery. Technicians discovered a second cassette in the glove compartment. It had warped too badly to run, but chemical imaging revealed the first few magnetized words, "Still here." That was enough to reignite every theory and every headline. When the footage reconstruction project began later that year, editors from several documentary teams petitioned to use the digital restoration. The county refused. The tape remains sealed in evidence. Yet those who've heard fragments describe faint sound beneath the wind. Low, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. By spring, the wash was gone again, flattened by wind, as if it had never opened. But the discovery had shaken the region. Reporters camped along Highway 89, waiting for the next scoop, and the Holloway family's relatives began lobbying for a full excavation. Coconino County finally approved it in March 2024. The new dig began at dawn under a sky the color of bone. 2 track loaders scraped the basin until radar picked up a void beneath the layer where the SUV had rested. The cavity measured 15 feet wide, 7 feet deep. Inside it, the soil registered abnormally high moisture, as though something had been sealed. The team broke through the crust, exposing what looked like the roof of another structure. Corrugated steel, maybe part of an old drainage tunnel. They widened the hole. Beneath, the air shimmered with heat, even though the surface temperature was barely 50 degrees. When the first camera dropped into the gap, the feed showed a small underground space, half collapsed but still intact. Water glistened on the walls, and in the corner lay a backpack and a skeletonized hand protruding from the sand. They lowered a forensic tech in a harness. He brushed aside sediment and uncovered 3 more bones connected by a child's sneaker strap. DNA later confirmed it. The backpack contained a metal water bottle, a roll of film, and a small spiral notebook wrapped in cellophane. The pages were warped but legible. Night 2, still windy. The sand sounds like someone whispering our names. We tried to climb, but the light kept moving away. Richard says, "Stay by the truck. I keep hearing tapping." The last entry was dated August 3rd, one day after the timestamp on the camcorder. There were faint fingerprints along the notebook's back cover. Not from Dana or Eli. When forensic teams analyzed the print pattern, it matched Richard Holloway's, but inverted. Impressions consistent with someone pressing from beneath the page, not above. The dig expanded another 6 feet. They found nothing else. No adult remains, no clothing. Yet ground radar showed a second void slightly deeper, connected to the first by a thin tunnel. They hesitated to open it, fearing collapse. Instead, they inserted a snake camera. For the first 30 seconds, only darkness. Then, the light caught something metallic wedged upright in sediment, a tripod. The lens faced upward, aimed at the roof of the tunnel. The entire cavity around it pulsed with flickers of reflected light, as if a candle burned somewhere beyond the camera's range. The tech adjusted focus. Words were scratched into the tunnel wall, crudely, with a key or blade. Still here. The same phrase imprinted magnetically on the second cassette. When the feed cut, a static buzz echoed through the monitors at surface level, steady, rhythmic, almost like slow breathing. Within a week, funding ended again. The county sealed the site for safety. But not everyone left. Marissa Kane, the hiker who had first found the SUV, returned privately a month later with Leo. She said she needed closure. They parked half a mile out and walked in at twilight. Her phone camera recorded the approach until the battery drained at exactly 7:32 p.m. 2 days later, rangers found their vehicle abandoned. Doors open, gear intact. Footprints led toward the same wash and stopped at the same coordinate as the original dig. A drone search at dawn revealed fresh sand collapse over the site. Inside the perimeter tape, half buried, lay a modern GoPro. When they played the recovered footage, the first 2 minutes showed only sand swirling across the lens. Then Marissa's voice. "There's air coming out. It's warm." The audio that followed was quieter. Her whispering. "Leo, listen, it's knocking." 4 knocks. Pause. 4 more. She laughed nervously, said, "It's the same rhythm from the tape." Then the video cut to black, and one final sound, a soft exhale, close to the mic. Investigators ruled the collapse accidental, but online theorists called it impossible. Some claimed to hear 3 voices in the recording, 2 adults and 1 child, each breathing in perfect unison. By August, the county filled the basin with gravel and fenced the perimeter. Warning signs read "unstable terrain, no entry." Still, at night, truckers on 89 say the sand there glows faintly when headlights sweep across it, like metal under glass. And when the wind drops completely, they swear they can hear tapping beneath the tires, slow, deliberate, counting in 4s. The second cassette sat inside a steel evidence locker for nearly a year before anyone dared to touch it. It had warped under pressure, its plastic frame fused at one corner, magnetic ribbon discolored from heat. When the Coconino Forensics Lab finally approved a restoration test, the process took 70 hours, 1 inch of tape cleaned at a time. The file that emerged was incomplete, only 9 minutes long. Still, it changed everything. The first image was static. Then, the interior of the truck, light bouncing off the windshield, sand, creeping across the glass. The time code read August 3rd, 2003, 6:12 a.m. Dana's voice, calm, almost resigned. It stopped blowing. "Maybe we wait for sun." Richard's reply, "We're below something. Can't tell how deep." A faint rhythmic tapping started in the background. The camera drifted toward the passenger window. Through the haze of dust, the outline of a vertical surface appeared. Smooth, stone-colored, a wall that shouldn't have been there. The next frames were blurred. Then Dana's face, close to the lens, whispering. "It's humming, like a radio far away." For several seconds, the image vibrated with faint ripples, as if filmed underwater. Behind her, sand began to slide sideways rather than down, flowing toward the wall. At 6:15, the microphone caught Eli's small voice. "Mom, the ground's breathing." The next 20 seconds were pure distortion, the wall pulsing, the truck shaking. Then, silence. When the image steadied again, the cabin light was off. Only Dana remained visible, eyes wide, breathing fast. She said, "The doors won't open. The locks just clicked." She held the camera close to her chest, the lens tilted toward the rear seat. For a fraction of a second, a reflection flashed in the window. Another face, pale, expressionless, pressed to the glass from outside. Then the battery icon blinked red. She whispered something no one could decipher, 3 syllables before the footage ended. Audio technicians enhanced the last second of the tape. The waveform revealed a whispered phrase repeating beneath her voice, "Still here." The public never saw the recording. Only 5 people in the county archive office viewed the digital copy, each signing a non-disclosure. But details leaked anyway, enough for the story to take on a life of its own. In summer 2025, the desert shifted again. Monsoon rains hit northern Arizona, washing through the fenced basin. A maintenance crew inspecting runoff channels found a section of pipe, clogged with sand and debris. When they cleared it, something metallic rolled out, a digital camera, corroded but recognizable, wedged inside a child's lunchbox. It wasn't part of the 2003 evidence. The model was released in 2019. Inside its memory card were 21 images, all taken within the last year. Most showed empty desert under moonlight, but the final image, time-stamped July 29, 2025, 0243, captured a low ridge with faint tracks leading toward the fenced site, and, in the distance, 2 human silhouettes standing beside a white shape half buried in sand. Enlarged, the white object resembled the door of the original expedition. No vehicles had been registered in the area that night. The fencing logs showed no breaches. 2 weeks later, an anonymous package arrived at a Phoenix news station. Inside, a mini SD card labeled Holloway tape cleaned. The station never aired it. The footage reportedly showed the same 9 minutes from the recovered cassette, but ended differently. In the leaked version, the last 5 seconds didn't fade to black. Instead, the image brightened suddenly, flooding the screen with pale light until the shapes inside the truck vanished. Forensic analysts later confirmed the leak was digitally identical, except for one extra frame inserted at the end. A static shot of the desert at dusk with 3 figures walking away from the buried vehicle, backs to the camera. Their footprints stretched toward the horizon, then stopped mid-stride. No official source has admitted altering or adding the footage, yet rumors persist that the inserted frame was found on the original tape but cut before archiving. By autumn, the site became a pilgrimage spot. Travelers left batteries, cameras, and keys pressed into the sand as offerings. Locals warned them not to stay after sunset. The wind carried a low vibration through the ravine, a sound caught easily on phones but impossible to trace. At night, the noise came in patterns: 4 knocks, pause, 4 more, always in the same rhythm. A maintenance ranger posted there for security described hearing a faint child's laugh when he walked the perimeter. "You tell yourself it's the wind," he said, "until it says your name." In December, during another sandstorm, the fence collapsed. The next morning, the basin was smooth again, no markers, no tire prints, just one square of untouched sand near the center. In it, half buried, a camcorder lens faced upward. When investigators retrieved it, the power light flickered once, even though the battery was gone. They bagged it and sent it to evidence. That same night, lightning struck a dry mesa 10 miles north. Hikers later found the imprint of a tire track burned into the rock, ending at the cliff edge. No vehicle nearby, just a patch of melted glass where sand had fused under heat. The Holloway file officially closed in 2026 as recovered, with anomalies. But travelers still stop along that stretch of desert highway, especially at dusk, where wind sounds like distant surf. They say if you play any recording device there, static fades into a faint heartbeat rhythm, steady and human. Sometimes, buried under it, a woman's whisper follows. If anyone finds this, we're by a wall of rock. Then, silence. Keeps breathing.